So then the consensus is so far that the public initiative is not an issue in this election, or it should not be under. Mr. Dahms, you
I think the incumbent council, who has been entrenched, has stifled political initiative in this city.
Okay, we'd like to move on to a different subject.
Richard,
All right, fine, all right.
I'm not going to insult you, Richard.
That's okay.
I think that if you look at the city committees and the fact that we have several city committees, that most of them are not wanting for applicants and most of them are filled.
Filled with your political cronies, isn't that right?
No. As a matter of fact, I guess I need to have just one little example of how we
I've got one.
Give it to me. I'd
Great.
like to hear it.
Thank you, Mr.
Lay it on me.
Here it comes.
Okay.
We had an old housing hearing committee, didn't we? Before we had the code enforcement scandal, where the county council had to force the city to revamp its code enforcement. Do you remember the housing hearing committee?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember a chairman of that committee, Mrs. Marcanti?
Mm-hmm.
How can you have a chairman on that committee who also has a son who's on the vendor list of the city of Bowie? Is that an ethics conflict?
I don't believe so.
You don't see the obvious conflict?
No.
Filled with political cronyism?
No. I think most of this is in your mind.
You know,
All right, fine.
let me say something here. This guy has sat here now. He said that every door I knocked on, including everybody in Point Ridge and half of Kenilworth, Yorktown, Overbrook, Chapel Forge, Whitehall, are cronies. I want the people to take, if they didn't know me, I want you to know now you're one of my cronies. Now here he's talking about the people who come forth and volunteer for these committees, 90%, which I will say I do not know when they walk in the door, and all of a sudden they're all cronies. If Mr. Dahms has a problem with the way this city is run, why don't you go to the ethics committee and state your case? You have nothing. It's another one of you are laying these things out there like something is wrong. And baby, you are so far wrong. You're absolutely either that or you really are losing it, Richard. You're going to say anything. You're going to say anything that you can to get somebody to vote for you. And God forbid that anybody would vote for you for the things that you're laying out here and the way you're insulting this community.
Mayor Logue, you have insulted the people of Bowie, and I'm asking the people of Bowie to throw you out.
Perhaps you can.
Okay.
Good.
I think
good. That's what this is all about.
There is enough of that. All right, let me get into another subject. I've never gotten into my subject now.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me go for it. We'd like to address the issue of highways, one of my favorite subjects. And I want to know, there are two highways in particular that I would like opinions from everybody as to where they stand. Actually, there are three, that one of personal interest and two, I think, of more general interest. And that is A44, the Intercounty Connector, and the Eastern Bypass. Those are serious questions. The Chamber has not addressed the A44 issue, that is the Intercounty Connector, but they have addressed the bypass, and they do endorse it. And so I would like to start perhaps with Mr. Robinson to get it going and tell us where he stands, number one, and number two, why he stands there.
Well, I'll make it easy for you. The Eastern Bypass is an abomination, so you can figure where I'm going to stand on that. It's a dumb decision. All it does is bring tons of traffic through the city, and the idea is to spend $3 or $4 billion to take 5% of the traffic off the Wilson Bridge. That's lunacy. A44 is a stupid idea. All it will do is dissect this city, turn us into two median strips between the Eastern Bypass to the east, A44 to the west. A44 is designed for one purpose, and that's to dump Montgomery County's traffic onto 301, using the city of Bowie and most of Prince George's County as a median. I think both of them are poorly planned, they're poorly designed, they're not needed, and all they do is denigrate the quality of this city.
Well, I think you've addressed the opinion of most of the city council, but I want to know, are there people here who feel differently? Now, I hate to place it in this context. I know the Chamber has taken a position on at least one of those roads, and I'd like somebody to address that. Mr. Oliver, thank you very much.
I appreciate you in the Chamber. I looked around, I didn't see anybody running by that name. The important The important thing is, we've got some road problems, and I think safety is more the issue. A44, I'm totally against. I have a son who lives in Laurel, and we have a problem going from here to Laurel. He says, how about 844? To me, it is not needed. If we can upgrade the Laurel Bowie Road to a safe road, I think that would serve us adequately. The bypass is something we'll probably never see happening. Whatever happens, it is a terrible, terrible idea and plan, and they've changed it 4 or 5 times. And before I would even say yes, right now I'm against the way it's planned. If they're going to dump everything in Bowie, they need to upgrade 301 to a safer highway. 450 does need upgrading. We're talking about safety. That road has harmed more people in the last 20 years than sitting in this room, and many of them dead.
Well,
So if they don't want to relocate the road, let's upgrade it safely. Other things, before we get into the absolute need for 450 even being upgraded, we
Well,
might have other forms of transportation there.
Well, one of the things you
Thank you
raised,
very
I hadn't intended to get into it right now,
Yeah.
but you said a safer road for the Laurel Bowie Road,
Any road.
Run 197. What do you mean would be upgrading it to a safer road?
Well, there's a lot of, in the case of, it's similar to 450, but there's a lot of curves. It's a low-speed road. Mileage-wise, you're supposed to stay under 35, but people drive a 50, 55. So if that's going to occur, why not make a road safer that you can bring the speed up a little bit, get the traffic moving?
So you're saying that 5-lane road should be...
Not particularly the 5-lane. That particular road is poorly designed, in my opinion. I've seen too many people hurt there, too. But from the end of the extension of 197 to Laurel, maybe there could be some improvement of the road.
Through the Wildlife Center?
Even yes, through the Wildlife Center, yes, sir. I think that this would not disturb the great resources we have of wildlife. Matter of fact, the federal government even thought about selling off that property to private enterprise that I object to. That's strange, isn't it?
We are told, I'm told, that we have Gary on the phone. and we'd like to give that a try. And I assume Gary's been hearing the highway questions, and he has a minute to go ahead and address the highway situation. Gary, can we hear from you from Boston?
1 minute. All right, give me
1 minute.
1 minute.
And then we're going to turn it to somebody.
Hang up.
Mr. Twig.
Broadcast to Boston?
Oh, yes, it's being seen in Boston right at this moment, right. But what about that section between Ken Hill Drive and Tulip Grove Drive, let's say? Mr. Twigger, would you like to address that one?
Most certainly, and you knew I would. That is a mess, but as you probably know, I, in the chamber, initiated a motion to pass, in fact, endorse the chambers and the city council's proposition, which was to make that a 4-lane road with, I think there was fanning out at the various intersections, and as a matter of fact, it was identical to Curb's position.
I mean the city position. The city has
City
taken a
position, the chamber's position, and Curb's.
So you're in favor of what the city has endorsed?
Yes, yes.
All right. Gary is ready to go ahead. Gary, please go. Gary, please go.
It's already gone, that's why it's done.
We can't do it.
Gary? Yes. Go. Go. Speak. Hello, this is Gary Allen. Am I speaking to Al and the viewers?
Nice try.
I am from Boston, and I regret that I was unable to be physically present this evening. And I appreciate the
We can't do
opportunity
it.
that
All right,
both
let's keep trying, and perhaps we'll get it.
made to make this opportunity available for
Now,
me to speak directly to,
Eastern Bypass.
those present and the viewers
Gary's
of this
back.
particular show.
Go, Gary.
Precedent for this was set, I believe, by former Mayor Wildman several years ago, which participated in a candidates debate in a similar fashion. Most of you know that I've been on the council for only 2 years. I work as an educational consultant, and have lived in Bowie for about 25 years with my children and my wife. I do not know what the present context of the discussion is, and so I'll turn it back to the moderator, and if there are some specific questions I should be responding to, I hope that you'll share those with me at that time. Back to the studio.
Gary, we're addressing the question of highways, particularly the Eastern Bypass and A44, and the widening of 197 particularly, and the widening of 450. Can you address that issue? Go ahead, Gary.
You take time to it? I did not know.